How's it going, everybody? Thanks for joining us today on Adobe Live. I am here with Mike Jones and Daniel Luft, and we're going to showcase a little bit of what we do on Fridays as a creative exercise as a team. We like to pick a random location on a map and then start zooming in and find a place to take a stab at rebranding and spend about an hour or so on that and just flex some creative juices. So we're excited to show this to you guys today. And maybe Daniel, you can walk us through what we picked for today. We did a little bit of TV magic and picked our location here about an hour before. That way we could do some sketches so that everybody's not watching us just heads down, sketching for a little bit, but we'll talk through what we've been doing and showcase what's going on today.
Yeah, hey everybody. So we kind of just picked a location that we wanted to kind of just zoom around the map and look at different businesses that, may need a little boost
A little
in their
TLC.
branding logos. Yeah, little love. So we just kind of took a look around Atlanta, and we narrowed down to this place. It's fitness training called Heat Personal Training. We clicked on it, took a look at their logo, and got a nice little website going on. And we're just looking at their logo, and we thought, hey, they could use a little love. But there's some things that we really like going on with the logo. There's some interesting things going on with kind of the word mark down here with the lettering. I think the biggest thing that I would like to try to work on is kind of marrying the word mark with the logo, because it kind of feels like these two elements are not really working together. I mean, so that's kind of what I kind of keyed in on. I don't know, Mike, if you want to add anything else to that.
No, man, I think it's well said.
Yeah, and I saw on the
Dive into it.
website the HEAT is was an acronym for High Energy Alternative Workout. So I'm assuming training would be the T in this. Um,
Yeah.
so sounds like they're intense. I saw a little Ric Flair shirt on the site, and yeah, it sounds like a fun place to work out.
Yeah. And they got some nice photography going on in their facility. So just want to kind of elevate that brand to kind of match that photography and what all the other good things going on with what they've got going on. So
Well, awesome.
yeah.
Well, let's walk through a little bit. So maybe first, kind of before we dive in, and you guys maybe pull up some of the sketches and stuff. Like, how do you guys feel that going through an exercise like this helps you as creatives, and why is it something that you do regularly?
Yeah. I can start. So it's always good to keep honing your craft. And, sometimes there may be an industry that you kind of want to work in, but you're not getting that work in. And it's good to kind of build out those areas of your portfolio that are lacking in those areas you want to go to, those industries. Um, and, sometimes you might be slower, not have a whole lot of, brand work coming in. I mean, that's me and Mike are brand designers, so that's kind of the work we focus in on. So it's always good to keep like honing in your craft, honing in your uh, uh, how you do things and the steps you go through. So that's one of the reasons we do that. And it's also fun. Like we enjoy kind of making logos and going
Mhm.
through this process. So it's fun for us.
Definitely. I think it's just a good mental challenge too. Is like, hey, you've got 2 hours, go find something random, figure out how you can make it different, and just exercise in creativity. Like at the end of the day, that's what we're doing. We're just
Yeah.
keeping those skills fresh, keeping our skills of sketching and ideation, and just staying in it every day. And I think doing it more and more helps with just building your skill set all together. So, and I mean, it's a good time. If you love it, it's a good time.
Yeah. I was just chatting with a designer I'm mentoring earlier this morning, and same advice to her was like, you just got to do this time and time again. You learn the basics, and then it's repetition and experience. And so, I'm going to use Mike because I know he's over the 20-year mark of doing this, and there's no. It doesn't matter. You're that OG veteran. You are
Right.
still out here flexing those muscles and working to be better every day,
Yeah.
and that's what keeps you sharp.
You have to. I think, any chance you can learn something new for your craft, any chance you can add to your arsenal, is a great moment. Take it, and then just the brain dump of thinking through the solution of a problem. It helps you stay sharp, like you said. So I enjoy this part a lot. I think I enjoy the sketching part more than anything else. So
Yep. Well, let's see some of it. Let's
all
let's pull that
right,
stuff up.
I find it. There we go. Um, no, here's some that I did earlier. We'll start there.
So walk us through kind of some thought process on this. Like, what are you trying to do in these sketches, and where are these ideas kind of coming from?
Well, I mean, for this particular exercise, we don't have a brief. We don't have any direction. I mean, it's just kind of an open-ended. We chose it because it was there, and we think we can make something different for this particular industry or this particular company. So there's not like a crazy set to where I was going but it's more of just like, okay, how many different ways can I show heat and fitness and high energy? And
Hmm.
so, I'm trying monograms, I'm trying word marks, I'm trying icons, I'm trying scripts, I'm trying whatever. I'm just trying a bunch of stuff to see where kind of like my mind's saying, oh, this could be fun to land on, this could be fun to build upon. And, for me, it was like, okay, dumbbells and automatic H. That's an
Yeah, I was gonna
easy,
say you see that on
easy
that
place
left-hand
there.
side.
How do we add fire to that? How do we, you know, make a word mark that can contain the mark and also be separated from it? And I was just kind of going through like that kind of stuff. And for some reason, I got smaller and smaller this time around as I started working. So I was zooming in a little more. And then I was trying like, how do we maybe use the negative space to make the letter form of an H, or how do we reverse shapes to make an H out of the negative space? I'm kind of digging this one. It's really small now that I look at it. This one, where did it go? Right here in the middle. Um, just having some flames and reversing them on themselves, kind of having that like an H vibe. I don't
Hmm.
know. I'm gonna tool around with it, but that's basically where my mind was going. Was just like, let's make an interesting icon, and then pair it up with some type that makes sense, and then tweak the type and kind of button it up with color. So yeah.
That's awesome. And I think a really key important thing for those watching that I'm going to encourage is when you're doing sketches, it doesn't matter if you're doing brand, illustration, UI, UX, get out there and get a lot of ideas on the table. I think oftentimes designers we have this habit of like, I want to do something and I want to do it perfect, and then we spend all of our time and energy on that one item rather than like really going and exploring all these different possibilities. And the more ideas you can hash out, the quicker you can do that, the more likely it is you're going to find something that you really fall in love with and continue on. So
I would
um,
have spent a few days. Yeah, I think
I know you, yeah.
I would have spent way more time on this, but it's TV magic. So
Yeah,
I got some good ideas out here that I think I can work with.
super cool. Well, awesome. Well, let's switch on over to Daniel's screen, and Daniel, you can walk us through a bit of what your process is here.
Sure, yeah. So I do like to sketch too. I'm a little different than Mike. I think Mike's like a really good at sketching and like doing these like really high fidelity type sketches. Mine are more like just really quick, trying to like get the ideas out and like really like chicken scratch kind of sketching. So for a long time I was like embarrassed about that because I see people posting sketches
Hmm.
and like they're really nice. I'm like, dang, I wish I could sketch like that. But I think you just gotta kind of own like your process and the way you do
Right?
things because like everyone thinks and works differently. So I really just kind of owns how I do things. And So kind of just walking through what I started with, I really wanted to kind of key in on focusing on a word mark. So I started there and just started playing around with the letter forms and seeing like what kind of interesting things I can do with them. Um, I started doing these kind of really elongated type flowy letters, which I thought were interesting. So I kept kind of iterating on those, playing with more of these geometric kind of word marks. I like to write down like keywords to kind of help me guide me for like what I want those logos to convey. So some of the ones I did for this one were movement, fluidity, and energy, which is kind of what I wanted the logo to capture and what I wanted, the kind of the emotions I wanted to people to feel when they see this logo. So just I like to keep iterating on ideas. So I might do something that I like I really like this H in heat. So I kind of just took that and started iterating more. You know, can that like carry through and go across the entire letter form? This T kind of throws that off a little bit. Just playing with different ideas. I got frustrated with that because I couldn't really do what I want to do. So I switched over to kind of focusing in on a mark, a symbol that could like that this heat Venice can really own and use part of their marketing. So I switched over and started doing some symbols. Right now, currently they have that fire logo. So it just seemed like a really easy layup to kind of focus in on that and kind of build something that was a little bit more ownable than what they currently have. So I kind of just went and started exploring these different marks that symbolize that fire. Just really simplified, really trying to convey that sense of energy and movement with that. It's kind of as well looking towards, other fitness brands and kind of staying within that market so it feels like it fits within it. So I really liked what I was doing here with this kind of form. It's just really minimal, but conveys that sense of fire and movement. And again, I just kept iterating on it and seeing how I can get it better and more to the point where I really liked it and seeing what else could come from it. So yeah, just keep iterating on it, different ways of doing it. And I really started to like the direction I was going with it. And I'm ready to kind of hop in and kind of start building off of it.
Yeah. Well, and it's fun too. I liked how you pointed out at the beginning, everybody's got a different style of sketching or concepting work. I've known Mike now for, I don't know, 12 plus years.
Long
And
time.
like, I know him. He's in that sketchbook. He's literally got stacks of sketchbooks in his office and, kind of catalogs through everything. And I know, Daniel, you're more, hey, I'm going to get a concept out there and then I'm going to play around with it more on the digital side. And at the end of the day, there's no right or wrong way to do that. It's really finding out what works for you and, hone in on that process. So
And
for those of you that are watching that are like, I can't sketch that way. That's okay. Find what works for yourself.
then there's some of our friends that don't do that at all. They go straight into
Yeah.
Illustrator and they're off to the races, and that's how they ideate, and that's perfectly okay. Just I like the tactileness of
Mm-hmm.
pencil to paper, pen to paper. I will share a quick tip though for folks that are watching, especially people who are just getting into this. When you import your sketches into Illustrator, there's a little on the layers panel. There's a little 3-step stack, little hamburger menu. Click it on their sketches. Like if you're on your sketches layer, click it, and then go down here to template and hit template. And it's going to lock that layer and fade it back a percentage. It's going to take the opacity back. So you can, and then add a layer on top of that. And then you can work. Like I like to work on top of my sketches because of the way that I draw, I'm pretty close to where I want to take it anyway. So that's just me. But like it just helps. It just gives you a little bit of thing. And then you're not in that problem area of like, oh, I've clicked my sketches and I'm moving them around when I'm trying to grab a point and with the pen tool and the arrow tools and stuff. So just a quick tip.
Awesome. Well, cool. Well, let's start diving in and walk us through a little bit of the process. Maybe Mike, I know you were working on one. You can
I'm just
Maybe
tooling
share with us a
around with
little.
a really ugly. I'm not zoomed in enough to really work on my line work yet, but yeah, that's a horrible vector, y'all. That's really
And while he's
bad.
doing that, if anyone in chat has any questions for us, please drop them in there. Could be about anything. Let us know. We'll kind of go through those as we progress through here.
I did not connect things. Oop. There we go. Yeah, I'm just taking some concepts that I liked and seeing where like I'm just starting to build on them really. Just to see if anything starts to take shape. I had this one image in here a minute ago that I thought could work. So I'm just taking a test stab at it to see if it's gonna stick. And if I like the way it turns out, maybe I'll stick with it. But you know.
Well, let me take a quick step back because I know one of the things that we're really big on too is being really collaborative and working through concepts and ideas together. Anything that you guys might have chatted through before. Again, I know we just started on this, and I think Daniel was at lunch, but I don't know if you guys like talked through any of the ideas yet, or even just as we walk through them on this stream, have you seen anything and you're like, oh, that gave me an idea about something, or I want to share this feedback or whatnot. Any collaborative ideas flowing from stuff you guys have seen?
Not yet. I mean, I think this is the first time either one of us are seeing each other's ideas, so that it's going to be fun to kind of put a few more out there and then go over them together on, well, how do we, which one makes sense? And then I think that's where the collaboration will really start, because we'll have at least a few marks to go through, and then we'll narrow it down and then go from there to start making collateral and assets and whatnot.
Awesome.
Yeah. Me and Mike have worked together now for I think about a year.
A hot minute, yeah, man.
I'll say you guys have
And
been working
so
together for like 2 years, but like a year as team partners,
exactly, yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
meant, like directly collaborating together. So I think a lot of that is just like learning how to work together. And I think what we found is like I think we both need to like individually spend time within like this and like thinking through it, and then we get all of our ideas out, come together, and start thinking like, hey, is this working? Okay, let's see how we can push this together. Like, let's see where we can take this. I think this is
Yep.
good, but what if we do it this way? And
Mhm.
I think just like me personally, like I need to be in this project. I think I need to be in the project I'm working on just to kind of like really absorb all the information and just spend time in it, and then I can come to the table and start working together.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm with him.
Maybe switching over to Daniel here. So looks like starting to put some of the shapes together, maybe do some knockouts and whatnot, depending on what you're building out there. But walk us through a little bit of the concept here.
Yeah, so I'm keying in on this one right here. The things I like about it is just the simplicity of it. I like the movement of it. As compared to some of these other kind of similar symbols. I like the contrast, where it goes from thick to thin here. I'm not sure how that's going to translate once I start going to vector. So we'll see if that works. I think another one I'm going to try is kind of more this monoline type right here, where it's just the same thickness, and see how that looks as well. But there's something about this form that I really like, and I'm going to try to see if I can capture it in vector.
And then is that itself going to be a flame, or is like a flame encased within like the lines of the shape?
Yeah, I think it's just more abstract, and it's kind of like that movement of the flames, just kind of capturing that movement and the form of it in a little bit more abstract and symbolic way.
Maybe switching back over to Mike here.
Why do you keep
Mike,
switching back to me?
because you got some intricate lines going on.
No,
I was
stop
gonna say,
switching back to me, man.
what are I I'm cheating on the answers here because it's stuff that we've talked about over the years, but what are some tips that you can share here as you're manipulating these lines? Like, I know there's kind of a method to the madness. It's not literally just pulling the strokes out, and um, there is a
Uh,
little bit of a formula.
I think no matter what you're trying to build, if you can try to keep your it's not always going to work because shapes are different shapes are intricate and depends on what you're doing. But if you can kind of work off that clock method, I learned so many years ago from a friend of ours, Ade, um, and learned it from him and from Bob Ewing, and just doing type, like how to like really keep everything horizontal, perpendicular. Like you really want to keep those handles pulled like parallel to their counterpart if you can. And so what I'm doing is I'm just going in here on these shapes, and it's not exact for my sketch because I clearly using my sketch is super pixelated, and I'm just trying to kind of get a sense of where I want to take it, and the fewer points you can have, the better. But like, I noticed like, this one's way off here, but it makes a real nice curve. That's okay. You can do that. But if I can move the point by itself up to like a higher plane and then fix this to go like that, um, it just allows for a cleaner look. And like I said, it doesn't always work because like I still want to keep tweaking and messing with it. But I'm just clean. I'm just trying to make sure that when I'm building it, it's nice and clean.
Hmm.
You try to use as many or as least amount of points as you can to achieve what you're trying to achieve.
Yep.
Sometimes that goes real well, and sometimes it doesn't. But so far so good.
Yep.
I kind of, I could kind of see where I want to take it and make it work.
And remind me, because I do more web and product stuff, so I'm not in his Illustrator as much. Does Illustrator have the feature of removing anchor points, or is that one of the Astute plugins that helps do that?
They're both.
Okay.
But yeah, you can do it. And in Illustrator, like if you want to say I want to take this point out right here, you can click and hold the pen tool button down and go to the minus pen tool, delete anchor point, and you can just go and click it. But when you do that, it takes the point out and just makes your curve go away. But if you need the curve to stay but the point gone, you can hold shift down. I believe, yeah, hold shift
Oh,
down
okay. Yeah.
and click the point out of there, and it'll keep the curve like you want it.
Very cool.
So, I mean, yeah, I think you need to keep is the points that make the curve what the curve is. So like your 12, your 12, 3, 6, and 9, right? If you're on a circle, try to keep those points where they are.
Right.
It's the in between that you don't really need. Like this one, do I really need it there? Probably not.
Yeah.
But
You get those like files from clients once in a while, and you go,
point.
did you really need 800
But apparently
points? Like, we can condense that. So
right.
yeah, I know we've done some cleanup on that over the years.
So that's all. I was just trying to see if this would make some kind of interesting shape.
Yeah.
Feel free to
while you guys are working through that, I know we're talking here about like a really condensed, more design exercise to hone the skills, that we do on Fridays, but walks through a little bit more to as best you can, and let me know, I can take over at points, but walks through a little bit about the process on a more typical project where you're getting more into mood boards and stuff like that, or strategy. Like what do you guys like to do in an ideal environment?
passes the ideation phase.
Yeah, I mean, like if
Yeah.
this is a project that isn't just
Sure.
hey, let's go and let's see what we come out of this morning. What do you guys like to do, and share a little bit about your normal process?
Um, yeah, I mean, normally we'll get the brief, read through the brief, get like, like you should, and then we will go look at um, the industry. We'll see what's there, what they're doing, and then we kind of go set up a mood board. We'll walk through putting a mood board together, or a what's the other name for it?
Stylescapes or whatnot.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
and just kind of have a few options. We'll build a few options of those out, so the client has some choices in kind of the direction we really want to. It's like here's like three good solid directions we want to take you in, and they all could solve the problem. But in doing that, we also go, this is the one that we think really makes the most sense for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
And so from there, we'll go do our sketching, and then from there, once we kind of narrow that down, we'll dive into building until we have a handful, probably I'd say, I don't know, 8 to 10 options that we really really think are solid, and then we narrow that down and put that into mock-ups and kind of a presentation to showcase, let's say, the top three,
Mm-hmm.
and then we'll work with the client to narrow it down to the top one and wrap it up.
Nice.
I think the quick version.
Yeah, I think one of the key things that has been really helpful is by creating those directional mood boards that really give clients a sense of, hey, here's three routes that we really see you taking. Like I kind of refer to it as it's like touring a model home. You can move things around, you can repaint, you can change up the furniture, but if you're like, I like the bones of this, I could see living here, like that's what we're kind of looking for in that brand process. So before we even get into sketches and whatnot, is this a direction that you feel could be appropriate and that you'd be excited about? And kind of a bit different than, here what we saw. Mike's is a great example where it's like, I'm kind of throwing all the ideas out there in a quick exercise like this, going through and building out those mood boards and setting them up to be full directions where, I mean, we're showcasing type, color, brand examples, um, icons or illustrations, photography, web or product if applicable. And really it gives the client a sense of like what is going to happen here. And I think where that's really key and it really does speed up the workflow process is then when we get into sketching and we get into even vectoring out some of these early concepts, we've already funneled in what you're going to see later on. So it's not like you're just throwing a bunch of um, stuff at the wall and hoping something sticks. We've kind of already determined and agreed on what we like, what we don't like, and that direction to go. So it's just really helpful to hone in on that and make the process a bit smoother as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I would just add on to, it's good too because usually with a branding project you're working with a new client that you've not worked before. So through that stylescape process, you put together, hey, this kind of direction, there's like degrees to the direction. Like this feels a little bit more in line with what you should do, or kind of more safer. This one's kind of more in the middle, and then this one's kind of more extreme. And you kind of just start building that relationship with the client, engaging like where they're at. So that's kind of helpful for the process of stylescapes as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's super important to get to know the client. And I think, like you said, build a relationship. I know you guys right now, I mean, there's a project that you guys wrapped up a couple months back, and you guys are still chatting with them about football and, all the college games that are happening. And that's awesome when you build those relationships with, and, that's key to really understanding people and getting along with them. And when you build that kind of relationship too, I think it helps when you get into feedback and presenting your designs that, it really does feel like a team and that you're working together towards something, and you understand more about them, and it's not just this like cold presentation.
Always strive for building relationships over just doing the work. If you do, you're not going to have just a one-off client. You're going to have somebody that can work with you for a long, long time, maybe the length of your career. You don't know.
Yeah.
But if you're not building relationships like that, then in my opinion, you're missing out on some super duper opportunities that
Hmm.
you could be having with those same clients.
Yep.
And I love it because they become like, um, extension of my work family, if you will. Like, I know that I can chat with them about they'll hit me up all the time, just chatting about random life things out of the blue. And you're like, oh yeah, cool. Like, and then it gets to the point where you're like, oh, this is what my kids are doing, and this is what my, spouses are doing, or whatever. Like, I made this cool barbecue dish, whatever it is.
Yeah.
It becomes like you said the other day, having our buddy hit us up and during football season, and we were just chatting football all the time, and we're having the best time, kind of like jabbing at each other's teams. It just made for a good thing. And now it's, hey, can we get more work in your location? They're looking at us for future things because of
Yeah.
the relationship that was built over that one project.
I think that's another thing that, for those watching, like, really just not to underestimate is building that relationship. Like you said, it does create a more lifelong, in some circumstances, connection. But you're there to serve people. You're there to do great work. But when you're doing things that, again, with like that servant's heart, looking to take care of people, looking at what extra you could do that's going to inject delight and take that project over the edge or offer more value to that client. That's also where you never know who somebody knows and that connection made. I mean, we've had one client in the last probably 30 days has referred us out to 4 other companies that they're like, we're having such a good time working with these guys, like you should work with them too. And that's not an ask. We don't do that on the sales side of like, hey, who do you know, it's not a gym. Can I have 10 phone numbers of friends that, might be interested in signing up, and we call them? Like, we don't do any of that stuff. It's just someone had a great experience, and they want to share that with somebody. And that to me means the most when either clients come back for a second project. That means that they trust you that much and they saw the results, etc., or that they're referring you out to people. I mean, that means the world. And again, I think a big key of that is building those relationships. Otherwise, that stuff doesn't happen as often.
Preach. Yeah, it's true. Very true.
So, Mike, I'm going to ask, as we're looking at these, are there any concepts or any other concepts that you're like, all right, I want to build out these 1 or 2 more? Or are there any that you look at and you're like, I'm going to stay away from this, and maybe why?
Yeah, I mean, let me zoom back out. I mean, things I've drawn an X through
Hmm.
are definitely not seeing the light of day. I mean, I go back to some of these ideas and I'm like, does it make sense? Is it too funky? Does it not really look like what I think it looks like when I'm drawing it? Like, I like this HF monogram kind of letter form, but is it too much?
Hmm.
It's overkill. Could it be simpler? And if it could be, do I still want to even build it? And I probably won't pursue this one just because it's a little too much. I think when Daniel and I were chatting a little bit ago, we were talking about like just a simple mark makes the most impact, and that's what I love about his style too, is that he will simplify and simplify and simplify, and it'll still have all this beautiful meaning in the mark. And so I'm stoked to see what he ends up on. But yeah, I think I'm just going to try to stick to the simplest ones. Obviously the 2 that I built already aren't like that, but I think just the simple of an H as a dumbbell with some fire in it somehow is going to be a really easy thing to capture. That's when I'm thinking about the gym as a whole. If they were a client, they're going to need it for embroidery, they're going to need it for screen, they're going to need it for this and that. And how do I keep that interesting but also make it very usable for the gym?
Hmm.
Because their current mark has gradients and thin lines and small text with thin lines, and Could it work
Yeah,
at
it's a
one
lot harder
color?
to
Does it
implement.
work at small sizes? Like thinking through like those two
Mhm.
things, like that's kind of where I'm at. So yeah, I'm probably gonna go in that kind of direction, but um, I think there's some kind of something here that I'd like to probably try, just because I think I
Mhm.
can clean this up and it'll still look like an H, but it'll look like some nice flames, and be easy to replicate and do. It'll work
Yeah.
in color, work at small sizes, that sort of thing. Um,
I think
and as kind of old school and cheesy as this is, like, could this be something, here with the kind of a flame that's a person because you're working out,
mhm.
it's about you, and it's about you being on fire and getting it done and all that. I don't know. I kind of like this vibe here too of taking the flame and you know rotating it around.
Mhm.
I'm just gonna keep messing around till I
Yeah. Something that I think
find
is
something I
interesting
like.
in like some of these concepts, like this one right here, that you've got with like the candle with the flame inside of the H, and the H is kind of angled down. Like something I'm noticing, and if you zoom back out a little bit, what could be a challenge with some of the H marks is
Yeah.
then how do you spell out heat? Is it H and then heat with another H? Or if you go up on the top right, you have the heat with the dumbbell, but then like the word eat stands out a lot. And so some of that is hard to tell in the sketch if it's all solid color, or maybe like the flame needs to go across more of the words, but then it looks like eat fitness.
Hey, client whose mom's telling them how to pick their logo. Yeah, of course it does. When there's
No, but
nothing to
like
apply to it.
that's a good challenge. Like how do you
Yeah.
balance that sometimes in logos of like, or how do you decide, is it an H and then continuation of the word, or do you separate it
Right.
out and it's a whole another H and heat?
Yeah, I think it's you get to that where you've built it out in black and white. Does it read like it's supposed to?
Hmm.
Does it look right? And you can tell right away. And so I don't know if I'm gonna pursue that direction or not, but these are just ideas at this point
Yeah.
until I get to the point where I'm like, okay, I've got what kind of where I want to go. Then I can't. It's hard to answer.
Awesome. Well, maybe let's ping back over to Daniel and walk
Right
us
up
through a little
there.
bit about what you're building. We'll let Mike work for a minute.
Sure. So I started out with this one, um, kind of keyed in on that one, started working on it. And just a lot of times what happens with me, I'll start working on a mark and then I'll get frustrated with it because it's not doing what I want it to do. Um, and so instead of just continuing to sit in that frustration and get more frustrated, I'm like, okay, let's pivot to something else. Let's let that rest for a little bit. You can come back to it later, uh, and let's just pivot to working on another idea that you have. So that's what I did here. I pivoted and kind of keyed on in another little mark that I like. This one's a little bit more uh, fluid, kind of more curvy. Um, as we're thinking about these logos, we're thinking about you know kind of usage and who's going to be interacting with these things. And um, this one felt more, with a lot of these like really hard angles, little sharp edges, and felt a little bit more masculine. And I felt like this with the more curves and fluidity kind of would work with both a male and female audience, and not be too offensive to either one. So that's kind of the direction for that mark. And so I started playing around with it. Um, I I didn't go to design school. I was originally a art major in painting. And so that's kind of my background. So I pivoted in design, and kind of really just taught myself Illustrator and all these different programs. And so I feel like just my process, I just did things just instinctively. And so for this one, like I start off, use the blob brush, which is probably not a whole lot of what people do, but I just kind of like to get a rough outline of it. And then I can just take that down here this is what I start with, and then just kind of refining it and
Mm,
getting it to the point where
It's
it
cool.
feels balanced. And as I'm going, I'm just like keep making copies and copies of it. As Aaron Draplin likes to say, pixels are free. So just like, keep making copies of that until I further refine that down and down to be more
yeah.
balanced and look really refined.
It's a good idea with the blob brush. I wouldn't have thought of that
That's a cool idea.
instinctively. Yeah. Just again, instead of sitting there with the pen tool for 10 minutes, like just fast track that, make some adjustments. And then walk us through what are you doing with that vertical line there?
So I'm using that as kind of um, just as a kind of measuring kind of gauge to make sure, this feels balanced. And I'm using it to kind of align my anchor points. So, moving that here to kind of align with that. So this top anchor point aligns with this bottom one of this curved mark right here. And then kind of shifting all these other anchor points around so it feels balanced.
Nice.
So just like a little guide that I'm using.
Yeah. Now, I know both of you guys are working in black and white right now. Um, what point do you guys like to start to introduce color and um, how do you go about thinking about that for a project like this?
Um, so for our process, when we're doing stylescapes, we like to really think about all the different aspects of the brand. So, Peter, you talked about introducing type and illustration. So another thing is like we start introducing color palettes. And so that's always kind of in the back of our mind. And so I know it's different for every kind of designer, but we start playing around with color pretty early on. Like, I don't know, we'll spend 2 or 3 days on sketching and iterating and then pretty soon start moving into color and start throwing these on different kind of mock-ups and applying them to see what they look like, because like you want to kind of see what they look like in those environments.
Have you guys found like are there I mean there's the tried and true, throw it on a t-shirt, throw it on a hat, etc. Um, what's kind of your go-tos as well as, how do you really think about with a client like what specifically we want to show it on? How do you get those answers as to like what's going to be most impactful?
Yeah, a lot of that is just, on our discovery kickoff calls where we spend time with the client, like asking them questions like, where is this logo going to be used? I mean, you've been in the business long enough, like the industries that people are in, you can kind of get a feel for like where those are going to be. We do a lot of work in tech space. And so like a lot of the usage is going to be like, some merch, marketing websites, social media, pitch decks. So you want to start playing around with, especially for like tech industries, like a lot of it's going to be tech type heavy because you have a website, you have decks. So you start introducing type and how does that logo look with different types of type and kind of just go from there.
Yeah. Well, something else too, and I recommend for everybody that is watching. I think Daniel, you had mentioned this early on. Of, if there's certain types of work that you want to go get,
Oh yeah.
go make it happen. It's cool. We the way that we work here at Heyo is we work on client work Monday through Thursday, and Fridays is an internal day, and we kind of like to split that time up between, working on things that are needed or going to impact the company, and then the other half on learning and growing and becoming better at your craft. And one of the things that even we're focusing on, we've been doing this for years. We're not trying to create a brand new portfolio because we don't have that good quality work yet to show, but there's certain industries we want to do more stuff in or we want to break into. And I know this morning we were doing a team push, doing more in like the outdoor sports space, and we're working on a project there. We've got some like brand work and merchandise that we've been doing, working on a website. And it's great to showcase those companies and sometimes even just pitch them of like, hey, we put this together. What do you guys think? Is there an opportunity here? And best chance they say yes, or someone else in that space says yes. Worst case, you come up with an awesome portfolio piece that you're excited about, you can put up, and you never know what kind of work that might introduce or bring in later down the road as well. But it's it doesn't matter. You've been doing this for 10, 20 years, and again, you do a lot of tech, but you're like, I'm really passionate about skateboarding, bike riding, surfing, I'm super into whiskey, whatever the thing is, go build that and showcase more of that stuff. You're going to get hired for the kind of work that you are putting out there and showcasing. And if your portfolio is full of a lot of stuff that doesn't really get you out of bed in the morning, then that's what's going to keep rolling in the door. So take that time, whether you're able to have some Friday time like us, or maybe it is some evening or weekend time that you need to focus on that. But that's a hugely important thing that really does make an impact and help bring in the type of work that you want. So yeah. And if anyone's in chat, let us know what kind of work are you wanting to do that maybe you haven't yet, and what's a project that you'd be excited to do and put out there to help bring that in.
And I also want to add to that. You're posting the kind of work you want to get, and you're doing. Some people will get in here and like, oh, that's spec work. We don't do spec work. It's spec work when somebody's asking you for it,
And
right?
not paying you, yeah.
And they don't want to pay you. If you're doing it on your own because you want to go after that particular industry, that's completely different, right? Just want to make that very clear. Like, it's not spec work if you chose to move forward because it's something you want to go after. That's just being, proactive and a go-getter, and like you're excited about what you do, and you really want to grab clients that you love, and you want to work with people that and products that you enjoy. So just want to show that there is a difference.
Yeah. Well, I mean, great example of that happening actually. So Heyo is a sponsor of the United States Military Academy at West Point's esports team. And that all started of, we've got team member, like we went through and, okay, what are the things we would want to work on? What types of projects would we want? We got a lot of people that are into video games. We have, our brand team here, Mike and Daniel, were like, we'd love to do more collegiate stuff and mascots and, branding for that kind of area. And I reached out to the West Point esports team because I was there in 2006, and we were chatting, and I just mentioned like, hey, we're going to do a case study. We can build out random stuff, or is there something that would be of value to you? And we'll offer to do that. Like, again, we're going to do this work regardless of your involvement, but we'd love to have you be involved and be an active, participant with it. And, if we can volunteer our time and donate, that to you. And then that became a like, hey, wait, let's actually do an actual partnership. And we were able to do a lot more with them and put some really cool stuff together. So never hurts to ask. It never hurts to put it out there. And like Mike said, if this is stuff you're doing anyways, might open up a lot more opportunity down the road.
Yeah, you never know unless you try it.
Yep. Now, this is cool. As we're watching Daniel here, like we're starting to see new things, new shapes, that are a bit different than the sketches, but it's really fun to see that evolution. And again, I know we've got a condensed time here. We're about 45 minutes into this 2-hour stream here, but even in that short period of time, let's try new things, let's get ideas out there, and you might find that completely different than what you had sketched out, but something starting to come together and is worth building out a little bit.
Yeah, so
cool.
I got this logo to a point where I felt happy with it for right now, and just wanted to try another idea. So this is just another variation on what I've already been doing. Again, like this is not our typical process. It's more condensed. It's more for just, showing you how we do things. But we do like go through, because like this is such a simple mark. So we always like to go through and make sure it's not being used elsewhere, and, just really make sure it's something that would work for the client.
Mm-hmm.
But
That's a
yeah,
good
so
point.
now
When you get into like those really, really simple concepts and ideas, there is that like, is this being used anywhere? And then you got to go through that process and check. I know what you had before with the line for a moment, reminded me of like Real Thread's old branding that Mackie Saturday had done. Kind of the teardrop with the like squeegee on top. And so, at the end of the day, it's circles, squares, and rectangles. And there's a good chance that something out there might be similar, especially like Daniel said, the simpler it is. So definitely important you do your homework and make sure that what you're building is unique. But it's cool to see all that come alive here. Maybe hopping back over to Mike, chat us through. I know you've been working on two other concepts. I've been watching as Daniel was working. Maybe you can catch us up a little bit.
Yeah, I'm just messing with this one H that's kind of negative space out of the fire and just trying to see if it makes sense or if I can use it. I don't. It's such on the fly doing it like this. So I'm with Daniel. We're just trying to see if this
And
makes
for
sense.
those watching, this is incredibly stressful doing this like as is when we do it. We've usually got like an hour timer on ourselves to do these, but trying to do it live on a stream, talking through things and explaining it as well. They're hiding it, but there's some high pressure and
I
whatnot
mean,
building
it's
these
just
out.
like everybody's watching you do your work, And the thing is, there's so many people out there that can get on chat and be like, "That's not how I would do it," and he's doing it wrong. And you know what? I'm old. I probably am doing it wrong. There's probably a trillion other ways to do it better than I'm doing it. And that's okay. You know what? It works for me. It might not work for you. It's okay to like do the key commands and the like whatever you need to do to make it work for you is quite okay. So that's what I'm doing. And so I'm sure people are watching going, that took him 10 times longer to build that shape. I'm like, yep, it did, but it's like I want it. So it is what it is. Um, I it is nerve-wracking because you're on here and you don't have there's not a lot of time of like refinement
Yeah.
on, we're trying to get to point C in 2 hours and
Yep.
still make it look like something that could be decent. So I don't know. It's fun though.
Yeah. We'll chat us through what is there another concept or two you're looking to build out? Have you kind of locked in on something that you're starting to feel?
I'm really digging this shape. Like it's not my norm of like something I would normally build, but it's different. It makes an H. It's flames, but it's got some nice reflective qualities. I don't know. I mean, I kind of lean this way, but I kind of like this one I just put out here. Maybe going back and changing the bottom so it's different, and that way all four pieces are different. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what I'm going to end up doing is coming down here and changing this particular thing, and maybe deleting this one and then changing this bottom piece to make it just look different. And you can come in
Mm-hmm.
here if this will work for me with the pen tool, the pencil. Oh, where did it go? I had to find it.
Well, and something else too that's going to be really cool is as you guys start building out some of the assets for this is um, the application and how it's used. And I think everybody here in Adobe Live is going to be familiar with Andrew Hockrattle. He's a good buddy of ours, and I remember there was two projects. One was for an ambulance. One was for a school education company, and Andrew was walking us through these projects, and you see the logo and you go, okay, that's great, that's a nice logo, and then you see the application and you're like, this is the brand. There is no other possible route that this could have gone. This is so well implemented. I remember the school one was really, really simple, but once you got to see some of the animations and the practical application of the assets, it was like, this is perfect for what this is. And it was just really, really cool to see. And so, as we talk about a gym facility here, it's starting to build out assets that cover everything from merchandise of hats or shirts or what is the decor on the walls, like are there decals going up on on the side of the walls or murals, things like that. And a lot of times that's where, again, you could have a mark that you go, yeah, that's great. Where it really takes off is in that application. So
Oh
be fun
yeah.
to see
Yeah.
what's done there.
Agreed. Yeah, I feel like this changing the bottom a little bit made a little bit more of a difference. And
Feels a little bit more memorable.
you know, but I don't know if I like that or not, to be honest with you. Feels weird or off or something. Maybe I need to flip it. Let's do that. Yeah, that feels better. Yeah.
Cool. Well, as we're winding into the last hour, we'll maybe keep working on these for a little bit and then start putting some application of things. What's some of your guys' like favorite places to go to get those assets that you like to work with? I know in this case, since we have some assets maybe on the site, like we can grab some images of the gym and maybe you can mock some things up on walls and stuff like that. But where do you guys like to go to find those best assets?
Yeah, that's a great question. What you got, Daniel?
Um, I like going to Adobe Stock and grabbing images and kind of just making my own. They have some mockups there, um, but they also just have like images that, because like a lot of time I'm super particular about the image I want, and so if I can't find the mockup I want, I go and find an image for what I'm looking at and use that and kind of make a mock-up of it myself. There's also a lot of great sites too that we like to grab mock-ups from. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree. What's another one? I mean, again, going a little old school, but like I like Pinterest. I think there's just so much fun stuff you can find on there to utilize. Like if I want a cool cap or something, I can go find it there. There's so many different sites you can find mock-up stuff. I like Placeit a lot just because it's quick and easy to build a mock-up on. Like if you need something, it also does animated versions. I like using that resource a good bit when I'm trying to showcase a finished mark.
I think something that not enough people do, because I think they estimate it's harder than it is making your own mockups. Like Daniel said, you can go to Adobe Stock, find a photo, or
Yep.
I mean, we've done it a ton of times. Mike, you'll do it where either you find some of the assets that you want, like I think I have a logo on this, cover it just in case I can't show it, but like you take a picture of your water bottle and yeah, I mean, you could do it with your phone. Phones are great cameras nowadays. And then you can go into Photoshop and drop your logo in there, do some little slight perspective or warp tools. And it's really not all that challenging to make something look super realistic. I mean, in under like 5 minutes. And there's a bunch of great YouTube tutorials and stuff like that too. Was it like the displacement effects if you really want to get tricky with like shadows and shading on um, shirts and apparel, but also, you know, eh, where it makes sense. I mean, you can go out and get a hat made for $15 and, have that logo stitched or 3D puffed or whatnot on it. And then again, go take a photo of it. I know Mike did that when we were working with Lamar. We were building out all this swag and like Mike's getting patches made and whatnot. I was just like, I'm gonna wear it. This is cool.
I mean,
And
why
it
not?
made for a great,
You know?
little photo shoot for stuff. So, uh, you know, get some things that are tactile. Doesn't always have to be purely digital too.
Yeah, I mean, if you have access to makers, utilize them for your stuff. Like go take a small budget and have it actually made it makes all the difference, because then you've got this physical product that you then can go get, you know, put into a photo shoot. And the difference in having them, like some mock-ups, it doesn't matter. They look great. They're built well. You've built a good one and it works. But sometimes having that extra realness in the photo shoot for the product you're trying to sell makes all the difference.
Yep. All right, so let's see. Maybe switching back over to Daniel, going through, making some type selections here. And again, walk us through a little bit of like what you're looking for in this type.
So when you're kind of thinking about, building out a logo, and if you have like a logo where you have a mark and a word mark, you really want those two to really work together. You want them to fit together like a glove, like they're meant to be together. So right now, this is kind of the process I'm going with. I'm kind of narrowed in on this logo, and I'm just kind of going through, and sometimes I have a clear idea of the type, and sometimes I don't. In this case, I don't. So right now, it's just kind of, looking at different types and seeing what works, and looking at what I have in my library and seeing if it works. A lot of times I don't really have the font I'm looking for, so I go out and look at different type foundries and go bring those in and start playing around with those and trying to find something that works. Playing around with different type cases. Right now I have it all uppercase. I'm not sure if that's the way to go. Just kind of seeing what works from a visual perspective. Sometimes I have a better read on it at the beginning, but other times it's just kind of a discovery thing of seeing what looks good and what makes sense.
Have you guys found, I'm curious because I was talking about this with a designer this morning. As you've progressed further in your careers, has your go-to fonts or your type selection or your font library grown or shrunk?
Grown, I think.
It's grown, but like the amount of fonts I use is it keeps growing, but like the amounts I use stays about the same,
Yeah. Do you find, is it just from a lack of I haven't gone through and like pruned out my fonts, or do you still kind of geek out and collect fonts wherever you can, or that access to stuff that you have has become more available, but you kind of know your go-tos?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's so many good types out there. There's so many good foundries, and they're always making new stuff. And like, it just feels like a kid in the candy store sometimes, where you're like,
Yeah.
oh, gotta have that. I want to add that and play around with that. And so,
I remember that was always something when I was younger, of like you'd go work somewhere new and it was like you get access to that font library and you're like, oh, I've been wanting
Copy
this
it
one,
all.
or yeah. Copy to
Yeah, I'm
hard
with you
drive
on
real
that.
quick. All
I
right,
like that
so
type, Mike.
we've got about an hour left. Walk us through, how are you guys thinking of taking this to, again, this is a quicker exercise, something for practice, but what are you guys looking to do here in these last 57 minutes to take these to the finish line?
Right.
No pressure.
No,
It's so
not at
easy for me.
all.
I just get to chat for a while. You guys are doing all the hard work.
I just want to get something that I think makes sense that I can land on. I hadn't got there yet. I've got a few ideas, but nothing. I don't know. Nothing that sticks yet. Yeah.
Yeah. So right now
Gotta,
I'm just
what?
solidify kind of the type, and then I want to start kind of thinking through like how I want to present it with the different kinds of mock-ups. So It's kind of the next steps for where I'm at. And I think another good thing that it does with this exercise of being it so condensed is like it really forces you to like make decisions, which I think sometimes can be a barrier for designers where we get indecisive. So it really hones in that ability to just like make decisions. And
So what you're saying is make a decision already, Mike, and get it done. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. You're right, though. It does. It does. The time constraint forces you to go, okay, is this the one that makes the most sense? Get it. Pull the trigger.
I always love watching you do shading, man. It's
I think this could work. I just think at the end of the day, the dumbbell is going to be. Let's see.
it's
I think I'm
instantly recognizable.
I think I'm gonna end up going to sporty vibe. Now that I think about it. Oh, shoot, I should have done those all together. Yeah.
It's fun.
It's center.
Hey, what's up, Nick Longo? Good to see you. I think I saw you on
Oh, Nick.
Adobe Live wrapping up with Andrew and Paco a minute ago.
Oh, cool.
We're gonna see Nick in a couple of months out at Creative South. Have
Yes,
him on the main stage giving a talk there. It'll be a lot of fun.
he is. I can't wait.
Yeah, for those watching, Nick will be out there as one of our speakers. Andrew Hawkrattle is our MC. So super fun weekend. If you guys haven't been before, I'd love to have you out. Mike is the co-founder of the conference, and what are we going on here now? Year 12 or 13?
So it's 14 years in existence, 12 years. We're coming up on our 12th event because of COVID. Kind of put a kibosh on it a little bit.
It was fun doing year 10 at year 12. I remember that. All right, so we're penciling in some flames here with Mike. Daniel's doing some type customization, it looks like, playing around with some like custom corners and whatnot on this. And it's amazing how little details like that sometimes, like, it does really make something feel truly unique and different than just having that type out there.
Come on, dude.
yeah, a lot of times like you'll find a type and it has kind of it's about 80% there, 90% there, what you want, and just kind of make these little tweaks to kind of feel it really marry nicely with the mark you made.
Like I said too, it's going through that process. Like, yeah, you've got the one on the left where it's kind of notched. Then this one here's you got the rounded corners, and I go back to this is where just iterate fast, iterate often, try out those things. If you spend too much time on one concept, you're gonna get stuck and kind of feel like you don't know where to go. But if you try them all out super fast, you're gonna find that thing that you like, make your selection and move on and keep progressing forward.
Thanks, Papa Peter. I'm sorry, dude. We're a long live stream. I might as well mess with you a little bit.
No.
Yeah. Figure if anybody can get away with it, it's gonna be me. There's a method to my madness, I promise.
There is.
Sometimes, man.
Oh, the roasts are coming now.
Here we go. It started. It has started.
Mike started it.
I did actually, yeah. I mean, it's my own fault.
You opened the door.
Something I like with Daniel's too, and this might be where, as you think about like the applications and how might you pitch this to a client or whatnot, is in the mark that you have going, I can see depending on color and application and whatnot, that could be hot, it could be cold, it could be sweat. Like there's a lot of different things that you could do. So I'm thinking are maybe like branding out the available classes or maybe the areas of the gym. Like, I don't know, hot yoga, you've got the heat mark here in your brighter, warmer colors. If something is just meant to, coming to this class, we're going to do kickboxing or something. You're going to be drenched afterwards. Like that could be a cooler color. Um, could be a hydration station inside of the gym. Like there's a lot of different things, and the mark that you have honestly works in multiple colorways, and because of that shape. So there's some interesting things there that could be done.
Yeah, and I think just, having, the word heat and the color red,
Yeah.
this you really get the meaning behind the logo and what you're trying to say. I'm thinking too, as I'm thinking through this, like I want to make, some apparel for this gym that, the members can wear, that like they're excited to work, or they're excited to, wear in their bodies and to rep. So cool. I got to a point where I ended up landing on this type here
Hmm.
called, what's it called? Thetis. And like I
That's
was saying
cool.
before, it's got a lot of good things that I like going on with it. And I like kind of the weight of it, and really kind of works well with the weight of this mark. A few things I didn't really think were working was these kind of notches here on the E and the A. And I wanted to kind of match that more, make it feel more like it fit within this logo. So I got rid of those notches. I rounded these edges, kind of makes it feel a little bit more rounded with this mark here. And then I rounded the top of that A and got rid of those notches. And it just makes it feel a little bit more like it's meant to be with that logo.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree. It pulls in that rounded aspect, and um, it's kind of unique too that it's not everything is rounded. Like I don't know, sometimes when you do that, it just feels bubbly or whatnot. I feel like it keeps some edge here, and it's interesting how those shapes are coming together. So what's next for you? If you feel like this is kind of that concept to hone in on, where do you take it next?
Yeah. So I'm hopping on to Adobe Stock, and I'm going to start looking for some images. I'm going to really focus in on some apparel, because I think that's going to be a good selling point for the client, because they're going to want to have apparel that they can have to members, and that looks good and that they'd want to wear. So I think that's going to be a good starting point to kind of build that, to add this mark to, and really create a good selling point for it.
Awesome. Yeah, I know. Actually, before I got into design, I worked in the healthcare industry, and I worked at 24 Hour Fitness and um, Crunch Fitness and whatnot. And whether it's your team wearing stuff, or I mean, virtually everybody is getting a t-shirt when you sign up. Because they want you wearing it at the gym, they want you wearing it outside, advertising for them. So apparel in that industry is going to be huge.
Exactly. And I'm a part of a gym. I won't name the gym, but their apparel is not that great, and I don't want to wear it.
Yep,
It makes a difference, though. It definitely makes a difference.
It
it
does.
does. Daniel, I'm just curious, is your stream stuck, or is it just not sharing? Is it only sharing Illustrator?
Oh, I'm on Adobe Stock. Do you want me to pull that over so you can see?
Oh, if you got it on a different space or something. Yeah, I was just saying we just can't follow along with you there.
Cool. Well, I found an image I like that I'm going to add the mark to. Um, so I got this off Adobe Stock, and just, I'm going to kind of put the logo behind that and just kind of really create a dynamic image here.
Yeah. I think as we're talking about swag too, that's something that actually one of the companies that we're um, doing some stuff for in that outdoor space, like all of their merchandise is literally just a giant version of their logo slapped on it. And it's one of those like no one wants to wear that. So we kind of always have the goal of when we're creating stuff for clients, like, yeah, there is a version that has the logo, and hopefully it's done, well, it's not too large. It feels less markety, but something that we found over the years is if you design a rad shirt to where it's like, this is somebody's new favorite shirt to wear, they will wear and rep that all of the time versus finding it in the back of the closet or in the trash. People want to wear stuff that is cool. And so really encourage folks, especially as you're doing, branding and whatnot, to explore options where, again, maybe as Jim here, it's not just heat on it, but it's some phrase about, positivity or something. And then, maybe heat is just on the sleeve or it's on the back kind of neck or nape of the shirt, or, something small on the front here. But then on the back, you've got really cool artwork, and that's the kind of stuff that people will actually wear and will actually get your product or service out there. Don't just slap your logo on something. It's not the way to go. And hey, Bruno, good to see you. It's fun having some old friends of ours. We've got Khalifi and Evan and Jordan tuning in.
No way. Evan and Jordan are in here.
Yep.
Oh, they're never gonna hear the end of it.
So I didn't see any roasts before.
No, none. I'm really
You know?
surprised that neither one of those guys, especially, have given us any kind of roasting right now. They're the king of it. The king of
Kind of
roast.
asking for it now.
Huh?
You're kind of asking for it now.
Probably. That's all right. I expect it from both of them.
All right. So maybe as Daniel's prepping that, Mike, what are you working on here?
I don't know. I'm just seeing if I can fit it into something and make a badge out of it.
Okay.
That's kind of where my mind is taking me right now, just to be able to throw it on a shirt or something real quick.
So I know you. I feel like this is going into challenge coin territory real fast.
It could be. It
You
definitely
know,
could be.
which that'd be
Um,
cool for a gym. I don't know. Maybe it's you were in here every day for X amount of days, or you completed this boot camp challenge, and you get that coin. That stuff is cool. All right. Maybe we can hop back over to Daniel here as he's starting to put together some of the assets, and I see where you're going with this. So this will be cool to see. So walk us through what you're doing though, for those that maybe aren't familiar with some of these tools.
Yeah, so I just masked out this figure, changed the background to this red color that I'm working with to, kind of align with the direction of the brand we're going in as far as color. And then I'm just gonna mask this runner out and then put that logo behind it. and just kind of just create a little, you know, fun little asset that showcases, you know, the feeling of the brand and the logo. Um, you know, bring the logo in at the bottom. It could be, you know, used as a marketing image, something to use to, you know, get people to come in and join the gym, check it out.
Yeah. I mean, that could be stuff where it's outside marketing. You know, sometimes there's like either posters up in the gym or, you know, in certain areas or like facilities of certain machines, uh, things like that, you know, getting people kind of pumped up and energized. So yeah, stuff like this is awesome. Yeah, Cody was saying love badge logos. The flame wrapped around the dumbbell almost looks like a hand holding it. It's really cool.
Oh, that's interesting.
All right, Mike's getting into stock as well. Oh, you got to sign in. We'll head on over to Daniel for a minute while you do that.
Okay. Yeah, 1 second.
Keep your password and stuff private.
I appreciate that. Ah, food nuggets.
So try to walk us through a little bit of what you're doing as you're doing it here too, Daniel. What's coming up next here?
Sure. So right now I'm just starting to put together a little presentation to showcase the logo. You know, trying to make it look clean and presentable.
And what are some of the key things that you're doing there? It's like color, the black and white, some type, like what goes into that?
Yeah, so you want to show the logo and all the different lockups, you know, depending on the kind of logo you're doing, you want to have, you know, your kind of banner lockup. It's used for, you know, websites more longer. And then you have a kind of vertical lockup. You want to showcase how the mark looks just standing alone on different colors, you know, negative, positive. Um, and then start putting together a color palette, you know, start introducing that here already. We're working with these kind of this fire red and blacks and whites. So you showcase the color palette, and then you start putting together different, you know, items that showcase the logos, like this little marketing image here with the logo, with the runner, apparel, different other kinds of mock-ups. Anything you can think of to kind of just really make that logo make sense in space and like make it believable.
And I think there's another thing to share of the value of the presentation that you're putting up as well. Makes a huge impact on how that work may be seen or perceived. You know, I think that's something that, again, maybe some younger designers, and I say that as like stuff I probably did when I was starting out, where it's, hey, here's the logo, and it's plain and simple. But I think also when you put together a presentation as Daniel's putting together here, whether you do it vertical, landscape, etc., but when you kind of like put them through a little bit of a journey, let them see all the things, you know, showing what goes into it, seeing the practical application, I think that's where that idea really starts to come to life to somebody, and the feedback that you're going to get is going to be better. They're going to be able to visualize this brand as it comes to life versus just like, oh, the logo's nice. Again, it's that practical application. What does that look like? Um, that's a big thing. And once you set this up too, you can create kind of a template for yourself. I know there's a lot out there on Adobe Stock and other sites as well that you can kind of have a pre-made template. You can build an Illustrator or InDesign or whatever, and you just kind of drop your assets in there, and it's the same more or less pattern or structure each time. You just swap out colors and the assets, but really, really important in how that work is presented to clients.
For sure.
All right, maybe we'll swing back over to Mike here for a second. So I love how this is coming together here, this beautiful blank white circle. But
Thanks for that, brother.
I had to do that as that came up.
It was there. It was
Um,
there. That's fine.
but no, this is cool seeing that badge come to life. And I get, for those that know Mike, like somewhere in the concepts there's going to be a badge, there's going to be a lockup, something like that. And it's cool seeing this come together. I always love stuff like this where it's like, hey, here's Heat Fitness, we're in Atlanta, Georgia. It has a good feel to it, and pulls that stuff in there. So it's cool seeing how this is getting supported here, with the other information that you're putting in that badge.
Yeah. I was trying to use stuff I have just laying around and I can't find it. Oh well.
All right, well, we got about 30 minutes left. So just sharing that out loud too for timing as we wrap up some of these items. But yeah, here, let me see if I can help you out what year they got started in.
Or just gonna what don't they have a slogan on their website also?
Let me check, but I do see their site's a little outdated. It says 2018 copyright, so I'm gonna guess they might have been started around there. But I think they've got "It's Time to Feel the Heat" again.
Time to feel the heat.
Let's go.
You feeling the heat, Mike?
I now that I know who's watching me, yeah. Messed up. It's time to feel the heat.
Maybe like "Feel the Heat" or something. Condense it a little.
Feel the rhythm.
Feel the rhythm.
That movie's so good.
Love that movie.
So I haven't got my kids to like be into that one yet. That was like a core part of my childhood.
Yeah, I wonder if that's age appropriate for my kids now. I've started introducing them to a few movies that I grew up with, and some like, oh, this is probably a little.
You have
for
a
you
couple of
older.
those, yeah. You go, that's not okay. How did we not notice that as kids?
Yeah. And they get a little loose with the rating system too. I'm like,
Oh yeah.
is this really PG? Because it doesn't feel like it.
Wasn't like Caddyshack was PG? That is the most un-PG movie ever.
Is it?
Yo, yep, I'm pretty sure that was a very old rating system, and it is not. That should be very
not at
R
all.
these days.
Not at all. Okay, there you go. Let's just keep it all the same. Who cares?
So, Mike, you're thinking having the H dumbbell as like the primary mark, and then building out like this badge here, for
Yeah, I
various
mean,
applications.
I would, yeah. pretty much. Need some like other little accoutrements down here. That would make it a little more fun, but um, I haven't gotten to that yet. I just realized this whole thing is very tiny.
Right. Maybe head back over to Daniel here.
Yes,
Let's
that
check out what you got.
great idea. It's a good plan.
Yeah, so I'm just, carrying on building out this presentation. Um, I always like to start with kind of a cover type image to like really just, set the tone for the presentation and just really set, like really grab the client's attention for that first, introduction to that logo. So this one I just really simple, just found this image on Adobe, you know, of somebody in a gym. Just really like the lighting and the color. It's working really well, and just having that as a backdrop for the logo, I think just really sets a nice tone for it. And then as I'm going through, I'm just laying out the logo. I like to just start out with, the logo black and white, um, and showing the inverse of that as well, and then start introducing the color, um, introducing any kind of variations on the lockup. So right here you have the stacked lockup, and then um, after that you want to show, if you're going to plan to use the mark alone, like what it looks like just standalone. Just really just kind of showcase what you think is great and about the logo, and yeah, just make it stand out and shine.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of after that, start introducing, if you're doing a type, start introducing the type, start introducing your mock-up. So right now I'm going to start, I really like this image. I know it's kind of cliche for the industry, but we're on a condensed timeline. So we're just going to roll with it. I think it looks cool. Showcases the logo well.
Super cool.
But yeah, so now I'm just going to go on. I think I'm going to start doing, maybe a shirt or a hat. So I'll hop on
So I
Adobe
was
Stock.
scanning there. You can find like trainer images or someone working with a client, and that kind of stuff. Again, it just bringing everything to life.
Yeah, and when you start thinking about your mock-ups, like I'm going to be looking for, merch mock-ups. You want that merch to kind of fit that industry. So I'm going to be looking at like, people wearing workout stuff, or look like they're going to a gym, just to kind of really set the tone for that. If it's another industry, I'm trying to think of something like, you might have like a polo shirt. If it's more like corporate business style, you want to show like, hey, look how this mark looks like on this polo, like an embroidered on this polo. Just stuff that makes sense for that industry and that client you're working with.
Yeah. Here, I'm
make it
throwing
not
one
feel so generic.
in chat for you too. If you want to take a peek at that one, it's got like a good team thing. You could swap somebody's t-shirt color. You could, throw those on there, but you've got that like professional team kind of image. And something to think about too is, because we've worked on some like fitness apps and branding over the years, as well as like really what approach do you want to have with with your gym or workout facility. So, do you want it to be more intense? Do you want it to be more inviting? Do you want to show people that are jacked, or is it like everyday, normal, regular body types?
I think you
Uh,
should every day.
Things. Yeah, do you have it be like head-on imagery, or does it feel more like you are a part of the crowd? We did one where the photography always looked like you were running alongside people or moving alongside people, and so it made it feel like you were engaged and active within it. So it's something, again, just to think about as you're making those kind of image selections. What is the audience? Is it a women's gym? Is it a men's gym? Is it co-ed? Who are you targeting there? What's the age demographics? Um, it's important to show people of all ages, things like that. Really, really important in those selections as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. So like case in point, like I wasn't looking for this, but this popped up in a shaker bottle. And like this is
Hmm.
something you would kind of
Yeah,
see in the
dude.
gym, like people wanting to use a shaker bottle, like buy a branded shaker bottle. So
Yeah. Yeah, those are the kind of giveaways you're going to see all the time. And so doing that pitch, doing that presentation, um, you know, it's it's really key, really important to show all of that stuff as it comes to life. I'll throw another one in the chat here for you. And I'm throwing these in the Zoom chat so you guys can both grab these.
What are you throwing in there?
Oh, just some like image links that, helping out a little bit as we're coming up. We got about 20 minutes left.
Well, joy.
You got this. You got this.
And
And this might be a, hey, done is better than perfect. Like I see there, you're a pixel off. Like that might be the, hey,
That
again,
always
we're
makes so
doing a
bad.
quick sprint exercise. But how do we start pulling all this together? And this is stuff where, I mean, like, I like the multiple colors that you've got going on, Mike, as well. It just makes it interesting and pop off.
Trying to keep it at 3 if I can help it, but
Yeah.
maybe like it'd be 4 counting white, but trying to keep a little bit of that go dogs up in here, if you know what I'm saying. Daniel knows what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying. Mike likes his color too.
I mean, what does that mean?
You like colors, like a
I
lot of
do.
colors.
I do. Maybe I shouldn't. I don't know.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying it's just, you like colors.
The truth to that.
I was just watching all the opacities at, 71% and 17, and
But you know what? It works.
it does. So explain a little bit of the philosophy here of the increments of 8 for everybody.
So I'm a weirdo when it comes to numbers, and I think that, I took this class in college that was like numerology in, was it modern? It was modern and contemporary art. It had a lot of numerology in it. So like all the master painters would paint with like numbers that meant something. Like all the like 1 through 9 meant like each number had a representation. And I don't know why it was so it just something about it just it was interesting. And so I started doing that with all my design. So it was always numbers that for me added up to the number 8, because the number 8 in that setup for the master painters, I'm talking like Michelangelo, all the Ninja Turtles. Basically the number 8 is renewal, like stands for renewal, rebirth, that sort of thing. And so I don't know, I always thought like, you're making something fresh and new. So like, anyway, I started doing like all my opacities and like stuff like that. Things where I could enter number, I would try to leave it as a number that would add up to 8. So if it was, 8, 17, 26, 35, 44, 53, 62, 71, etc. And so, I don't know, it's worked. I don't know how to explain it other than that.
No, I'm the same way. I do everything in those increments, and it's fun to, I don't know. Like you said, it just kind of always works.
Yeah.
All right. So we got Daniel here is wrapping up the shaker bottle. I think just knocking it out there. Yeah. Yeah, we can switch over to Daniel's here as he tidies that up and then moves that into his presentation here. That's really clean with the dark inside, Mike. I like that.
Yeah, I just kind of get it so you can see the rest of the dumbbell.
Yeah.
Uh,
And again,
Do
I
I-
know if you guys had more time here, you'd like clean up the edges of the
well, I
bottle
mean,
and all
Daniel
this
built the whole
stuff. Like,
presentation. I'm just working on a badge because it's something I like. So,
yep.
I'm like, do I be really picky and clean this up really well?
Not for this purpose, probably, but yeah, I know. I know that's the stuff on quick streams like this that you're like itching to adjust, but
I mean, that watermark is hurting my heart already, but
and it should.
well, it is. So
I know it
there you
does.
go.
I know it does.
But we carry on.
We made the dumbbell red. Nope. That's awful.
that's fast.
Oh, that's awful.
But hey, you gotta try it to see it and know.
Yeah, I think we could just swap them out and keep like make this gray and then push black in this like into these. And then bring it down. I don't know. I'm just tinkering. This is kind of like some eyeballs now.
All right, let's see. We got about 15 minutes left as we button these things up. So again, if you're just tuning in here at the end, there's a little exercise that we do from time to time where we'll jump into Google Maps, pick a location or a state or a city. Both Mike and Daniel are out there in Georgia, so we thought we'd start things off in Atlanta and zoom on in and find an area, pick a business that you see, and just challenge yourself to come up with something creative and different, and see if we can make an improvement on a company that maybe we'd like to see some changes to that logo and identity. So we picked Heat Fitness out in Atlanta, Georgia. And so for the last about hour and a half, we've been working on two main concepts here from Mike and Daniel as they kind of pulling together the final touches on these marks and seeing if this is something that works for them and helps communicate a little bit of a story to a client as to what could happen here. Let's say maybe we'll jam for about another 7 to 10 minutes, and then we'll give you guys a quick maybe 5 or so each to walk us through that concept and showcase what you did and why, and maybe a couple of the other concepts that you were playing with.
Sounds good.
Awesome. So let's see, what kind of mock are you working on here? Just a little poster or something, a little advert?
Yeah, I just saw this image and I thought, this could be like the outside of their gym. Ideally, you'd want to go to where they're at and get images of their facilities and stuff that you can kind of really paint the picture of what that logo would look like in space. But for just these purposes, we're just using this one. I like that it has the runner here. Just really carries that theme, that through line through the presentation of what we're trying to do here. And right now I'm just trying to fiddle around and see what I like, what makes sense for as far as like scaling, like does this work?
Mm-hmm.
ginormous against the building. Does that look good?
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know.
looks good.
So just should it be cropped? Like I don't know. So just a lot of just playing around, seeing what works.
Yeah. And then again, if more time's allowed, you can do different effects that, I know you're kind of doing some quick versions uh, of it here, but doing a little bit of photo manipulation to make it really feel like it's truly on that building and not just like a digital slap on. When more time allows, like that stuff makes a big difference. Um, and just again how that is seen. The more realistic you can make everything, the more that's gonna impress those clients.
Exactly.
And hey, what's up, Courtney? We got Courtney in the stream. Hopefully, we'll see
Courtney.
Courtney on one of these illustration streams in the not too distant future as well. All right. And let's see, Mike, you're pulling some stuff
I'm
up.
just looking at their pictures and see if I can find one that makes sense to, you know,
Yeah,
something with it.
some depending on the business, sometimes maybe either like Yelp or like Google reviews. Maybe people have posted photos that showcase a business and give you some stuff to work with as well. But yeah, I think going stock, pick a cool like gym facility, for all intents and purposes at the moment works. Like Daniel with the quick and dirty, quick masking, getting in there and
Mhm.
doing
Looks
some
tough.
cutouts.
Yeah, we're just trying to move fast. We're on a time constraint. We want to get this out here. So
Yeah, it's definitely those done is better than perfect
exactly.
situations.
You just don't look at it too closely. Don't look at all the pixels.
I think a big advantage of like doing a challenge like this too is in order to get it done, it does force you to you just got to move. And so to some extent, it in a good way, hopefully like limits your thinking to an extent, and like you just got to go. And it's fun when you get to do that, and you know looking at something and going like, all right, I crank this out in an hour or two. This is awesome. And it's fun exercise for those design chops and that design thinking.
Yeah, and I think sometimes you get indecisive and it kind of freezes you, and this like just forces you to just like, okay, you can't do that. You gotta
Yeah.
Yeah.
make some decisions here.
Oh, nice. That's gonna look good on that wall.
Yeah.
Ooh, nice, Mike. I like that.
I'm,
You might be able to just slap it on there and cover it up.
I'm just gonna put a square there.
All
That's
right.
good.
Looks good for
Well,
my tiny little thumbnail.
since I think we're kind of running out of time, maybe while Mike finishes that up, let's switch over to Daniel's screen and if you can talk us through a little bit about, from your sketch to this concept, what it means and what you're thinking here.
Yeah, so just kind of go over what we talked about earlier. We started off with our sketches, um, explored some word marks, explored some, standalone marks that we could use for the branding. Really keyed in on this kind of really abstracted uh, flame type logo. Made some iterations on the different variations. Um, really keyed in on this one just because it felt like it was the most polished and it felt really nice, really clean, really simplified, really, you know, carried home that feeling of movement and energy and fluidity that I kind of started out with in the beginning. Um, yeah, and so we kind of built a word or built a logo off of that. And so I would walk through our presentations and showcase this logo, share kind of what I just shared about what we want to communicate with the logo and why we think it works. Kind of walk through each one of these slides and explain like why we're showing this. This is what your logo looks like. Well, you want to show it in the most basic form because it's good for the client to see that. And just start walking them through the presentation. Start introducing different elements. Right here, we're introducing that red that they're kind of using in their branding now, kind of removing that orange that they had. Just feels more refined and more refined and higher end, with just kind of simplifying that color and keeping and going down to that one red color and with the black and white.
Yeah, I think on stream that's showing way more red than what I think it is. I think it's almost more of an orange.
Yeah, it's kind of in that reddish orange. So
Yeah.
I'd probably, since we're doing so fast, I'd probably do some more color testings.
I'm just seeing it on the different monitors that it's different in Zoom, it's different on my second monitor, and then it's different on the live streams where people are commenting. So
no,
I'm not even sure which color is the real color at this point.
This is like a pain point of mine because I have, I have my monitor here and then I have my laptop, and like the color's different between those two things.
Yeah.
So I'm like, dang it. And I've spent so much time trying to match up the colors so they're the same, but I failed in that endeavor.
Yeah, I used to anytime I was doing like product or web work, I would have intentionally a really crappy monitor because not everything is going to look beautiful on, a MacBook screen or Apple display or whatnot. And so I remember, especially when it was really trendy to do those like heavy drop shadows and stuff, you could see it on a MacBook. It's completely invisible on, a $150, $200 little like Acer or Dell monitor. And so having that up there and being like, okay, where does this actually show was really helpful to kind of know, some color accuracy or make some decisions. Otherwise you end up making some things like unintentionally unusable based on maybe the screen resolution of what people see. If you go to a public library, are people going to be able to view this? That's really important stuff to consider.
That is very true. So just showing different lockups. I want to show this, there might be some instances where you need a more narrow logo to put on things. So we have this vertical lockup showing the mark alone. Just it's a nice mark. You can kind of use it as an extension of the brand when you don't want to use the heat with it. It can kind of stand alone on its own. And then just letting the logo shine on different things. We have this little marketing image here with the person in that athletic pose with the logo. Got our shaker bottle with the logo on it. And then just this outward facing building of what the logo could look like on their facilities.
Nice.
So yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, I think we got just a couple more minutes left, so maybe we can swing back over, and Mike, you can walk us through a little bit of yours as well.
Or sure, we can do that. Whatever you want to do. I'm just like finalizing some letters real quick just to see if I can match up some with it. Yeah, there you go. Anyway, I ended up liking this dumbbell concept with the flame wrapped around it. I don't know. It makes an H. It has a flame. I mean, it was real, like there was no other mindset than just showing kind of like a different version of kind of where they were already, with putting some weights in there to show the fitness portion. Yeah, other than that, I didn't really do a whole lot of type of exploration. I probably would take this and just throw fitness up under it. and make it lighter, and mess with the kerning a bit to probably spread it out from here. But other than that, where is that? Yeah. Oh, kerning. Here we go. 50, something like this. And then just probably get some color in the type. So maybe like we just take this and make it red or something. Too simple. Past that, I just thought building a badge would be kind of fun. So, making it look like it's part of the gym, like maybe that's in the back wall of the gym.
Yeah, super.
It could work. It works on black. It works on white. I mean, it works on any color really, but yeah,
That's dope.
kind of something like that. I don't know. I would have spent way more time on the ideation part to get it like I wanted, but it's always fun to just get out and do a quick exercise. And I know Daniel and I were talking the other day about getting up, 3 or 4 times during the week and just doing a daily 15-minute brain dump of like pick anything and just go, okay, you got 15 minutes to go. We've done that in the past and it was a lot of fun. And, we need to bring it back because it allows you to get your mind going every single day quickly. I think sketching every day is important, especially when you get to work, get your coffee, open your sketchbook, and just kind of like pick a topic. And then everybody takes 15 minutes and just kind of ideates on that topic for a minute and shares that. And it doesn't have to be anything built. It can be built if you want, but if you just take a few minutes to get ideas out about a certain topic, it really gets your brain going.
Yeah.
I like these are fun to do. It is nerve-wracking because you're streaming live, so anything can be anything. But
That's awesome.
I mean, it's a concept, so I'll run with it. I love Daniel. I think his is so much fresher and probably a lot more current than what I've got going on here. But
you got that like small town character, like there's just something in there that is really fun and has a livelihood as well.
I think it could work for some things.
We are going to get cut off here in just a second on Behance. So if you guys want, I know I think Cody and CJ maybe can repost, but share over the we've got the team accounts, our team Heyo. Mike is Bucket826 on everything. I know I'm just my name, Peter Deltondo. Daniel, where can folks follow you?
Yeah, my Twitter handle is at Daniel Rossluft. And that's kind of where I primarily hang out on the interwebs. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, I'm sure we'll work on these a little bit more, kind of wrap them up to a finished spot that we like and post them. So if you guys want to go see the finished results, go check them out. And appreciate everybody joining us today. And we'll catch you guys next time.
Awesome. Thank you guys.